One. All right. Welcome to Coast to
Okay.
Coast Wrestling Podcast.
Wrestling podcast. Yes, got a lot to talk about this week. I think a few things went down that people were looking forward to, right?
I would say so. Yeah, I would say we've had several. Several. We've had really. I mean, unless you really care about the mixed match challenge nonsense, we've really had one thing that's gone down. That's Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Yeah, I think we should just kind of lead off and start off with that, obviously, because that's obviously the big news. I watched it live, and I dozed off a little bit here and there during it, because that's really late for this old man over here.
For you, you're on the West Coast at least, where it was
Yeah.
what, midnight start time for the Rumble at least.
It was yeah, it was actually 11 for the Royal Rumble or the Rumble.
It was
And
it
then
was
the
a
main
2 a.m.
card started at midnight.
Yeah, it was a 2 a.m. start for
Yeah.
me, and I would have had to wake up. Like, I wasn't going to stay up. And
Yeah, but you know what? Since it was like a 6-hour show
it
on
shit
the
went to
East
8 a.m.
Coast, you could wake up at 6 and get the heart of the card.
Well, that was another thought I had, but I'm like, you
Yeah.
know, I'm just going to get some sleep, and it was a snow day anyway. So I watched
Yeah.
a little bit of it during the day, and then the meat of it I watched last night. I watched the last two last night.
Yeah. Yeah, since wife and kids are coming home 6 days from today.
Yeah, is
I
this
took
the
personal
final
day.
Bachelor edition of Coast to Coast?
It is, and I'm gonna have to see how it'll work with the mother-in-law visiting. If
Oh, I didn't know. I
have to figure out.
did not know that you were taking baggage along with you, or she was bringing stuff
yeah,
back.
which
for
is
you.
yeah, you know what though, I get it. I really don't care. Her parents can come live with us for all I care. They're great, so I
Yeah.
don't really care.
Well.
But we'll see how it is with obviously she'll probably be sleeping on this couch or something. Or I don't know. I haven't figured that out, but so we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, well, we'll have to figure
I'll
maybe
let you know how it works out.
a laundromat edition of Coast to Coast.
That might actually be it if they're not doing the laundry. But she's gonna come stay for a month, so whatever we figure out from there, we'll see. I'm not worried about
Yeah,
it.
we'll figure it out. Have no fear, folks. We'll have a Coast to Coast.
Yeah, we'll get it done somehow.
every week for you. Maybe we'll have the mother-in-law on. She can tell us about wrestling. Does she speak any English?
No, so that won't
Okay.
work, and I'm sure she doesn't know shit about wrestling. So,
Which is
anyway,
amazing because they have the best wrestling.
they do, but it's really not that popular there.
That's crazy.
And yeah, but they only, 35,000 sounds like a good crowd, but that was their WrestleMania, and WWE does way more than 35,000. And
Yeah, but also keep in mind they can't hold any more there, right? That was sold out, I think. So, I mean,
no, for baseball it holds about 50. The Tokyo
Oh,
Dome.
really?
So
okay,
yeah.
so
And we get 90,000 at WrestleMania for WWE, and WWE isn't as popular as it's been, so it's not
also let's
quite.
they fudge those numbers, you know. Vince
Well, yeah,
likes
they
to,
do, but
you know.
that's still a pretty healthy filled stadium they've been getting.
Oh, no doubt. Even during the
It's-
dark times of the mid 2000s,
It's the point
Yeah.
they get it to the point where they can fudge it,
right?
and it's not obvious. But yeah. So what happened with me is, once I got to the heart, say about the 4A match, I kind of had a second. I was asleep for most of the Cody match. I have to go back and watch that.
That was
no,
a great
not
match,
due-
honestly.
Yeah, not due to any other performers.
No.
But I just was kind of out of it at that point for whatever
Yeah, it's because
reason.
you're old and you're trying to stay up late.
Yeah, it was like 2-3, and kept looking. I'm like, oh my god, because one time, the last time I really didn't get any sleep, I was I think it was grad night. I don't know if you guys have something like grad night
Where
in New York
grad night?
after prom. Yeah. Do you know what grad night is? Do you guys have grad night?
I don't know. Explain it to me. Maybe we do.
Okay.
We just call it something else.
Well, what happens? Well, they don't do it quite like this anymore. But basically, here grad night is you get to go to Disneyland when it's closed overnight in your senior year of high school. They don't time it out like this anymore. But when I graduated high school, right after graduation, I went home and at about 10 o'clock, the bus leaves from school to go to Disneyland. And you come back from Disneyland about 5 in the morning.
Huh? No, yeah, we don't have that because one, we don't have Disney World.
Yeah.
I mean, that night prom night. I think we went to a comedy club, came home. I mean, it's an up all night event.
This is like a school sponsored thing. You pay, I think it was probably like $60 or $80, and you go to grad night, and the buses leave from the school, and you're there with a bunch of other schools, and they have like a dress code, and it's like they give LAUSD or whatever, Los Angeles.
What do they give you? Oh.
They give you the night. Oh. Well, the LSD. That's
fucking.
But that was a whole other thing. But like 10 or 11 schools get Disneyland for the night. And they do it with private schools. You just they sign up for it anyway.
Yeah.
That was the last time I really stayed up all night. Well, actually, probably not. I think there was a couple other times I did when I was like in my early 20s, and one time I got kind of sick, and grad night I go to bed at I ended up going to bed around 5 when it ended, and I just couldn't get to sleep. I was tired, but I couldn't get to sleep.
Yeah.
I was just my mind's going. So I didn't really get any sleep. Maybe an hour of sleep that night.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a little bit of stomach ache, but that's probably unrelated. But I don't feel as weird as I thought I would. Anyway, it was worth it. I'm glad I did it. I don't have to worry about.
You might not
spoilers.
feel weird, but I can tell you are squirrely as fuck. You are. You're very squirrely.
Yeah.
You're a little squirrely.
I felt a little weird, but yeah. I still feel a little weird, but
Anyway, the show was a solid show.
Yeah, it was. It was good all around. I didn't really understand too much about what was going on in that Rumble.
I didn't even bother.
I don't know. Yeah, don't know. I think they had a guy who apparently is either, I hate to insult people that know way more about this shit than we do, but I guess apparently the guy who won was this guy who either has cancer or was a cancer survivor or whatever. So, and he was in the final 2 with Cheeseburger, who's kind of an indie wrestler out here. I don't know if you heard of him.
No,
I've
not heard of Cheeseburger.
Anyways, I think the card kicked off with a perfect match to kick off a card. You get the Young Bucks out there with some energy, with Show and Yo, and I thought that was a pretty good match.
I gotta say, I was playing Monopoly with my kid at the time of that match.
I'm gonna go get some ginger ale real quick. You keep talking.
All right. I gotta say, I mean that was really my first experience with the Young Bucks, and I didn't love the whole. I don't know. The match didn't have any intensity with me. I don't know how it felt with you, and you'll explain once you get back from your ginger ale. But I just didn't think. I don't know. It was missing something, and maybe it's because I don't know. Maybe it might not. It might be Roppongi 3K. It doesn't really do anything for me, but I don't know. It was missing something for me, the Young Bucks and Roppongi 3K, and I don't know. I mean, again, maybe it's I don't understand the background, and was I supposed to care that they powerbombed the manager?
Well, Rocky Romero has kind of had a history with the Young Bucks. I thought the commentators did a good job of.
Kevin Kelly and Don Callis do a good job of explaining things to people as if they have no idea what's happening, and that's good. But the match itself, it was okay. It just, I could see where Jim Cornette doesn't like them. I can understand why. It just there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of psychology to their stuff. It just kind of happens.
I don't remember the match, but I have seen their work, and they go to the theatrical side a little bit, and a little bit of the satirical type of work. But I like them. I think they're great, and it works for me. And I don't have to. Not every match has to be the most. You can have a little. They're a little cheesy sometimes, but I think it's fine.
Yeah,
it has its place.
Like I said, part of it may be Roppongi 3K. They might not be my cup of tea, and
they're pretty good, but they're pretty good too. And they were the Tempura boys, but the whole thing was basically Rocky Romero. The Young Bucks have had his number throughout his career, and they've always been a roadblock for him. and obviously that continued. It was a good opening match, a lot of energy. I like the banter of the Young Bucks with the crowd and the stuff they do. It's good stuff. They perfect, modern day tag team that still has, kind of a look of an old school team in a way, since they're so uniform, they look alike. It's refreshing sometimes, but I get how people kind of dislike them. But I think those are the people that take everything a little too seriously.
Well, yeah, he does. Cornette does take him too seriously. The next thing I watched, I believe, was the 4-way junior heavyweight title match between Skrull. Was it Skrull? How do you say it again? You told me last week.
Skrull.
Marty Skrull.
Marty Skrull.
Will Ospreay, Kushida, and who was the fourth one?
It was Takahashi, the guy from
with Daryl.
Los Ingobernables, yeah, with Daryl. Daryl's guardian.
Right. So I thought that was a great match. I thought that
very good.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoy Skrull a lot. Ospreay, I like him, but like I was telling you, I don't like his finisher. I don't like the Oz Cutter. I think the setup to it is too telegraphed, and the fact that like the guys have to dive into it to make it work, to me, doesn't make it. I like a little realism. Like I like a move that even though like the One Wing Angel is a pretty sweet move, I don't love it because of the setup to it. You got to get the guy on the shoulders. But this one in particular is like, the guy basically has to dive into it.
Yeah, and Will Ospreay's one of those guys where he's got a pretty good highlight reel. If there was someone that you'd want to like get into wrestling, like look what this guy can do, like
right.
Will Ospreay would be one of the guys you would show some clips of. I always thought that about a guy like Neville. There are some guys that just do very exciting things, and that dude does do for some exciting stuff.
No doubt. But I love Skrull's kind of villainous. Villain. He breaking the fingers bit. And he makes it sound devastating. Yeah. I don't know. I would like to know how he makes that sound.
I think what he does is I saw someone, you grab the fingers and you snap your own fingers. So there's a way to do it. Like if you look on YouTube, so if I grab your finger like a break it, and as I pull it apart, you snap your fingers.
He's very effective. It looks real.
I think that's how he does it. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. But I enjoy him. I enjoyed that whole match. That whole match had some good moments early on where he's in and out of the ring, breaking up the pin, and staying away from them. I thought that was good strategy. But it was an all around good match, and I assume that it's a big deal. I mean, again, I don't know much about. Is it their cruiserweight title basically? Is that what that thing is?
Pretty much, yes. Yeah. Yes, that's their cruiserweight.
So, but I mean,
well, just like they have a junior tag, which that's the one that the Young Bucks have. They have a junior heavyweight.
Was there a heavyweight tag match last night? Or that night?
Yes, it was a gauntlet match. The gauntlet match was for the 6-man tag title.
Yeah,
and then I think there was a 4-way for the. God, it seems like so long ago now.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Right, there was a 4-way. I definitely fast forward through.
Yeah,
that's what War Machine, right?
Yes.
No.
War Machine and Michael Elgin, they were going for the 6-man title.
Right. War Machine have apparently signed with WWE now. They're.
Is that so?
Yeah, them and Ricochet have signed.
Right.
Meltzer
I know the
kind of
rumor
confirmed
was
it.
Ricochet, because Ricochet's kind of fallen off the map recently.
Yeah, I guess he is just riding out his non-compete, and he's going to come to the E. Hopefully he's smarter than Leo Rush, hopefully, because Leo Rush came and said something stupid and left. I don't know.
Is he gone?
I don't know if he's gone. He has not appeared since the incident with the tweet.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, he's just a kid, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the place for him anyway. Honestly, he probably was better off honing his craft still.
Anyways, so yeah, that I can't. I want to. Who even came up with the tag titles? God damn it! It feels like so long ago now. And we don't exactly do the Conrad Thompson type of research for our show. If you guys haven't figured that out by now. Honestly.
Again, it's probably not a big deal to everybody else, honestly.
Yeah, so going on to the main part of the card, I think now. Well, actually, did you watch the hair match?
I did not. That was one of the ones I skipped. I had to.
That was a pretty good, hard-hitting match.
Yeah.
Suzuki, I mean, that motherfucker psychopath. Just a psychopath, and I thought the commentary was really good during it.
Yeah.
Characters, I think, in New Japan is Minoru Suzuki, and the whole Goto thing. I mean, he just, he shaved his own head at the end, and it was well done. Good, violent match.
Oh, it's a Suzuki match. It's not going to be. It's not going to be not violent.
Yeah, it's a nice, hard-hitting match with some veterans. Old school feel to it for sure. I liked it. It was good. It was really good. Up to that point, I thought it was one of the, probably the top two matches on the card. And then that kind of led up into the meat of the card with the big titles. We had, I think it was the IC title match. It was right after that.
Yeah, it was. I fast forward through that. I was like, I don't know. Not that I really have any issue with it, but I kind of felt like there was no way Jay White was going to take the belt off of Tanahashi anyway, and I just moved on. I wanted to get to it was late.
Yeah, good match. I like Jay White. Pretty.
He
good.
uses Sister Abigail as his finisher, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tanahashi's just really good at selling injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He really knows how to just like the guy's a classic babyface worker. He's got some of the flashy moves, and he's really good at building, sympathy from the crowd with his injuries. I mean, just like he's perfect at that. I could never see the guy being a heel. Maybe he has been. I don't know, but the guy is just unbelievable babyface worker. And I can understand why he's been so popular for years. And a lot of people say he's their John Cena, and I totally see it. It makes a ton of sense, and he's doing a great job elevating and sustaining that mid card title. I think it just really seems like it until they're ready to hand it off to someone.
I do get what Naito was trying to say with they have too many titles. They have a lot of fucking titles.
They have a lot of titles. They do. Like this never open weight. All this stuff is, when I sent you that description of what that was, it definitely, as much as I love Minoru Suzuki and Hiroki Goto,
it's not meant for them.
It's not meant for them. It's meant for a guy like Jay White. It's meant for a guy like
or some of the young lions coming up, that just need a taste.
Yeah. So that was, and I don't know, just kind of going back to the Rumble, the first guy they showed is that, I can't remember his fucking name, Kanemoto, or what I don't know, remember what his name is, but that big cut lion with the mouthpiece with the teeth.
The vampire guy?
Yeah, he was the first face that came out during the Rumble, and he was the first face you saw when that thing started, so I think they got some plans for him at some point.
Yeah, probably.
So we'll see what goes on with that, but I don't think they'd ever give a young boy with just the black tights and the boots a title. But anyways, kind of back to the card here. So then, that was a good solid match, and then we kind of got to the meat of things, and probably what everyone's in the world is talking about now, which is the Kenny Omega Chris Jericho match.
That was brutal. It was a brutal match. Jericho was on another level as far as brutality. He really took it up a notch. I mean, he attacked Red Shoes' son, which random as fuck. It was brutal. I love how Don Callis got involved. He was on Talk Is Jericho this week, explaining them. They talked about how it all came together. It was a great match, and really it was, to me, the match of the night. Those two stole the show. I thought.
It just kind of a side thing about Jericho. One of the reasons why I really admire him is that at the same time as he keeps the business pure and is a throwback to the kayfabe era and what he does, he's also very open to, having Don Callis on his show and kind of discussing things, even though they're, kayfabe enemies and whatnot. and having Kenny Omega on his show, taking a picture with him after the match. I kind of like that about him. And just in general, I think Chris Jericho might be one of the most underrated performers ever.
Yeah,
I don't think
been consistently great without ever really being at the top of the heap. You know, like he's never been Cena.
Right. I think he was always in that. Honestly, he might have had, when we're talking about like kayfabe, he might have had the greatest night in wrestling history, defeating The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night to become the first undisputed champion.
It's on my TV right now.
Might be the greatest individual achievement in the history of wrestling.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it was.
And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for that. And obviously, I'd have to really. I haven't been one of those people that go ahead and make a list of the greatest wrestlers of all time, but I mean, I gotta think he'd be in my top 10 if I sat and did it, for sure.
Yeah, no, I mean,
underused in that WCW era, but like his heel work is just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean he's 46 years old and still manages to be interesting as hell. Not just in the ring, but character-wise. I mean, there are, and that's why I think he gets the leeway with Vince to, hey, look, I want to go do this. And Vince, according to Talking Jericho, was like, yeah, go. It makes sense. He's like, look, you're a WWE guy. Everybody knows that. Go. I don't care. And Vince was like, yes, cool.
And at the same time, I hope Vince watches that match and knows he's got to get Kenny Omega at some point.
I genuinely feel like Vince does not watch any wrestling at all. He probably has no time. I'm
not saying he does, but I'm hoping he watched this match and realized.
I think if somebody came to him and said, look, you need to sign this guy, somebody he trusts, like a Bruce Pritchard, that exists now, and came to him and said, you got to sign this guy, he would sign him. I don't think it would be in doubt. I think part of it is it takes two to tango. The reality is Kenny and the Young Bucks specifically have found a way to make money without the machine behind them.
Yes, they have.
So it becomes less of an issue to bring them to the WWE as far as money. Like, they probably don't need it. They probably don't need the extra work. I think the Young Bucks would probably get buried in the tag division anyway. Kenny, on the other hand, I think would do well. But I think he'll come around Nakamura's age, where he's kind of done with New Japan. I think I wouldn't.
So 3-4 years down the road. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. But in a way, Kenny is pretty much Japanese anyway. I mean, he's ingrained in the culture. He speaks the language. You're pretty much be prying him away from home like you would with Nakamura.
Right. I just don't see it happening anytime soon. I mean, it's just, and like I said, Vince. I don't think Vince is against signing him, but at the same time, I don't think he's gonna shove a boatload of money down his throat. Like to get him to come. I mean, right now, I think they're kind of got they've got a ton of talent as it is that they kind of don't know what to do with. So it becomes a battle of, because right now they got AJ, and I think Kenny could be AJ for them. Be the guy that you need to do. Like, you need him to be a face, he can be a face. You need him to be a heel, he can be a heel. He can be whatever you need him to be. And last night showed that. I thought that match was great. I thought, I need to ask you. I've been meaning to ask you. Is it knee trigger or B trigger? What are they saying with the knees?
I think it's V trigger. Like
V
is in Victor. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I just can't tell when Kevin Kelly and what's his face, Don Callis say it. I can't tell, because knee trigger would make sense because it's his knee, but V trigger would also make sense. I don't know. I was all confused.
I want to say it's based on probably some video game thing.
Probably. But I thought Kenny sold the Codebreaker probably the best that anybody has sold it. He just kind of falls into his knees and dies, as opposed to taking it like a stunner almost, which is what everybody else does.
It's a Street Fighter move, V-trigger.
V-trigger.
Anyway, this is the thing. Like, Kenny can be anything you want him to be. If you want him to be a white meat baby face, he'll do that.
Yes.
If you want him to be a scummy shitbag heel, he'll do that. You want him to be a chicken shit heel, he'll do that. You want him to be a monster, unstoppable, he'll do that. I mean, the guy can really do anything.
Yeah, no doubt.
He does everything well.
Yes.
And I mean, he's the performer. He's probably the best performer in the world. I just think there's no doubt about it. It gives a good promo too. Yeah, I think he can really do it all. I mean, I know we're probably one of the a bunch of wrestling nerds. We fall in love with the guy. It's true. The guy's fucking good. He's some 80s wrestler, like guys like Jim Cornette and everything. Wet their sheets about.
I just think Jim Cornette. Do that too. Yeah, I just think Jim Cornette takes himself too seriously.
Well, I also think it's kind of his shtick too.
Yeah, but there's a lot of he comes from the era of sticking to kayfabe and not breaking the rules, and he didn't like the doll. He
exaggerates himself though too, just to kind of get over with his crowd and get a reaction. You know what I mean? He's totally working. He's working people to a point, but him aside. But yeah, fantastic match. The banter that Jericho had with the crowd, and so good. I mean, going Kenny, imitating and called the fan a fuckface. The stuff he can't do in WWE anymore, and you could just totally feel that he was just kind of letting loose because you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No restrictions.
None.
They were able to get some color. And obviously, it enhanced the match. The cold spray, or whatever the fuck that stuff was, that bit was fucking great.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it too because it wasn't just like Jericho didn't just turn around for no reason. Kenny called him out. He was like, Chris. And he looked and that's when he sprayed him in the face and he sprayed his crotch with it too, which was funny.
And his reaction, was great. He sprayed under his arms, all that stuff. It was just good stuff all around. And yeah, it had a lot of brutality. A lot of that was obviously Jericho's execution, and then Kenny's selling is unreal. I love the power bomb that was supposed to be through the table. Instead, he just turns and dumps him on the mat.
Yeah.
So many good spots in that match. I love the kind of the foreshadowing where they put the table there, but don't necessarily use it until later.
They do that a lot in Japan. I noticed that last year they did it with Omega and Okada. That table was there for a good 30 minutes before they ever touched a damn thing.
Right, and the same thing with the chair. When the chair, you almost forgot the chair was there when you first ran into it.
Yeah.
And then the announcers do their job, do a fantastic job of reminding you. Kenny falling through the table, the chair on top of Jericho, and then throwing the monitor on him. There's just a lot of good stuff in that match. We talked about, him putting smacking Red Shoes, him putting Red Shoes' son in the lion tamer and saying, "Look at your son." It's just like that stuff. You got some "come on babies" out of him and the foot on them for the pin. Classic Jericho stuff.
Yeah.
And I really feel like Jericho must have felt it as a very therapeutic thing to do. It's the stuff that he's wanted to do for a long time, and he was able to do it. So I'm kind of happy for the guy able to do that. And the guy's 46 years old. I don't remember a guy, still that strong in the ring at that age.
Yeah, it was a great match. It was the match of the night. And then it went to Naito and Okada right away. And this is where I think I ran into a problem. I was debating stopping right there for the night and maybe watching this match today. But I wanted to continue it. I'm like, I'm there already. Let's watch it. But I think, the WWE does a lot of things wrong. They do a lot of things right. But one of the things they do right, especially on some of the big shows, is if you have two big matches that everybody's looking forward to and they're emotionally draining, they separate them with like a palate cleanser, like a women's match, which isn't fair, but a women's match or kind of a match nobody really cares about, but it's there. And it kind of, after having such an emotional match with Omega and Omega and Jericho, you needed something to kind of just calm the crowd down. I would have put like a Yano match there or something like that. Just something to kind of get the crowd a little more relaxed and then back into the emotionalness of Naito.
That might have actually maybe been a good spot for the cruiserweights for the light heavyweight four-way or no,
you want something quicker in that spot. I think just something.
Maybe the Young Bucks would have been perfect for that.
Yeah, something to just. Because it was so, like, you were like, holy shit, that was great, and you were really emotionally invested, and then you had to go get emotionally invested in just something equally great, and I'm going to give it a second watch. I am, because I don't think because I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would.
It was, I rarely get, that feeling of disappointment when my favorite wrestler loses, or when a guy I kind of want to win loses, but I had that in the match for Naito, because I felt the way the story went that it would be a good time for Naito to win the title.
It made total sense. It made
total sense because, like, Naito isn't. I mean, I don't know. Like, they're almost making Okada seem like a heel in a way, but I don't know. Let me just say this about Okada: best drop kick in the business.
Yes.
The guy's he's great.
Mm-hmm.
This might be kind of a little bit. I sent you a text with this kind of stuff, but it might be a little bit of a hot take. But I want to say he's slightly overrated.
Well, I think part of it is where we and you definitely run into an issue where, one, we don't speak Japanese. Oh, you might speak a little bit, but Okada is purely Japanese. They probably understand his promos better than us, obviously. And we might be missing something with him. Whereas Naito has a way of coming across and you kind of get what he's doing without needing to understand the language. And part of that was because a lot of the stuff came from Mexico, so he was, he does a lot of things, with the eye and the tranquilo, and you kind of
posing in the ring. Yeah, there's something charismatic about him.
Right, you connect with it a little more. Where if we were Japanese, we may feel the same way about Okada.
And this is another thing that I think New Japan is really missing here, especially at the end of a huge match like that. And Okada's out there giving me a promo that seems very important.
Right.
And they're trying to get that international crowd. I have no idea why there's not a fucking translator sitting between Kevin Kelly and Don Callis to kind of at least give them an idea of what he's saying so they can repeat. I think that was a terrible excuse. I would have loved at least some. They have those fantastic looking packages that were running before the Jericho match. Obviously, you didn't need it for the Jericho match,
right?
But particularly the promo between the Okada match, and Naito match, no translation. Not even subtitles. That's something that somebody could have did.
Yes, subtitle wise, I get, because they're splitting off the transmission to a million different places. But I definitely think like you said, you can have a translator, or even get a third commentator in there that speaks both languages that can help out with that. That doesn't interfere in everything, but can help out with some of the Japanese storylines. Because they are getting bigger in the U.S. and people are legitimately tuning into these events in real time, and I think it's important for them to maintain. Like you said, we don't get Okada, so to a large extent, we look at Okada and go, he's good, he's got a good drop kick, and he puts on a great match. But now we've seen him a couple times now, where he's great, but I mean, I got to be honest with you, I was more impressed with Kenny in their matches, and part of that is we get him.
With the bodies of work I've seen with the top three in New Japan, which to me are Naito, Omega, and Okada, to me, Okada's in that third place, and I don't see any, in terms of all the, when I analyze all their attributes. I mean, it's Omega and Okada. I mean, it's Naito and Omega, and then Okada. There's no way you can tell me that Okada's better than either one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, and again, the other thing I didn't like in the match was, once again, everybody's kicking out of the Destino,
Yeah.
So to me...
Which is a pretty sweet, kind of good-looking finisher.
Yeah. So, I mean...
they're bastardizing his finisher a little bit, and I don't know. It's like, are they? I think if they're trying to build Naito as like a sympathetic character in terms of not being able to win the big match, it just it totally you're gonna make him transform his character into losing that kind of cockiness, laissez-faire attitude. And if they're gonna turn him into this baby face, that's the Shawn Michaels boyhead dream type of thing, it just does not work with his type of character.
Yeah.
He should be out there winning the title all cocky like.
Well, he's already. That's the other thing too. He's already won that title. I mean, he's a former IWGP champion.
Well, I
anyway.
want to say that's who Okada originally won the title from.
Yes, it was.
So I mean, that was just a good moment for him to get the title back and have a run for a while with it, and have Okada get it back in the summer or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing too is we run into now with the booking is, well, when the hell do you have him lose the belts? They don't have big shows like WWE does. I mean, Dominion is one, but they don't have like a SummerSlam. That you can go.
Has he had the title for about 2 years now?
Yeah, he's had it for 500 something, not full 2 years at this point, but yeah, it looks like he's on track to do that. Because I mean, are you gonna do another Kenny match? It sounds like they're going with Sonata is the next challenger for
right,
the belt.
because I think he beat him. He beat him during the G1, I think.
Right, so Sonata's not gonna beat him for the belt. Let's be real. It sounds like Jericho is going after Naito now. If you saw any clips from the New Year's Bash,
yeah, he attacked him. I actually went trying to watch that.
It sounds like we're gonna go with Kenny Omega and Jay White. Is the next feud for Kenny. In addition to whatever Bullet Club strife is going on, I tagged you in it. He came and saved Ibushi from getting his ass kicked from Cody.
Right.
So everybody's kind of going off in their own directions, and I guess they're going with Okada long term for the belt.
Now, just like an example, we talked earlier about like if Kenny ever would jump over to the WWE. I want you to think of a handful of the top guys in New Japan, and then compare it to how many quote unquote top guys or level talent you have at WWE. I kind of think we hinted at it last week about WWE just having way too many guys that are perceived as top level, and anyone that's not if Kevin Owens isn't main eventing every pay-per-view, he's underused. You know what I mean? There's just too many guys like that. I think New Japan has a lot less.
Oh, they do.
Of that. You got your maybe 5 to 7 guys that you are that are main event level guys, and that's it. Obviously, I think there is a such thing as having too much talent in a way, too much top level talent, because it's really hard to book that way. It's more challenging.
Well, I think it's more challenging in addition because of that too, because they don't have a solid mid card. They don't know how to write for the mid card WWE right now.
That's the problem. Yeah, because even a guy like Cody Rhodes, who is pretty much mid card in New Japan, they gave him a great match with
Ibushi.
No, and Kota Ibushi. Yeah. So I mean, they're able to kind of book their mid card talent. You give Minoru Suzuki a hair match against another veteran. Like, there's things that are keeping the mid carders good with storylines. And I think WWE just totally lacks. It's either you're on the top of the card, or you have some shitty story, or they can't figure out what to do with you. And it's been like that for a while.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was just kind of a side note there. And yes, you got Naito and Jericho. It just doesn't. I mean, I can't wait to see the match and everything. But like, Naito to me is too. Naito and Jericho. I don't know. I just don't like Naito being presented as too much of a baby face. And when he was being attacked, how come the Los Ingobernables didn't jump in the ring right away and stop him?
Yeah, well, I mean, I could say the same thing about some of the Bullet Club. I mean, where did Matt and Nick go?
Oh, well, that was the whole thing at the beginning, which I loved when Jericho did that at the beginning. I know we're going back and talking about that match, but, when Jericho's like, stop fucking hugging them, let's go. I mean, he didn't say that, but I love that.
Yeah.
That was like, I was watching that with my uncle last night, too. My uncle's like, oh, yeah, get the fuck, that's totally, I love that's just classic heel work, and it's classic, Yeah, what are you doing hugging those guys? Have the match. Let's start the fucking match. And then Kenny did. He told him Kenny told him to go back. He didn't need him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
That's why they left.
Yeah, but
that could have been pointed out a little better. Also, there was a little confusion. It didn't seem like Red Shoes understood the understanding of what an ODQ match is.
Yeah, there was a couple instances where, but then Jericho too. He broke the hold for no reason later on. He just was like, screw it. I mean, I just think that sometimes it's just, because, then he's got to be able to break the hold some way. So sometimes just let it go,
Yeah, I think New Japan, just like WWE, New Japan keeps stories and stuff like that really, really simple and more of that athletic event presentation, so you don't really have those problems. But I think the in-ring sometimes does have a little bit of rough spots in it, like you had there, like grabbing the rope, and he's like, "Why are you trying?" It's a no TQ match, you moron. So there's little stuff like that, just like not having a translator for the, or just if you want to talk about the fact that you don't have a streaming app on the Apple Store yet. And you don't have it on the major video game consoles. I think those are things they're just a little behind on. But, this isn't a publicly traded company. This isn't a multi-billion-dollar empire. You know what I mean? So I guess you should have a little leeway with them. And honestly, they're not even, from my understanding, they're not even that popular in their native country.
Right.
To where they're demanded to do that. So, I think it's maybe the expectations are a little not reasonable right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, too, is they probably did not expect the worldwide response to some of the stuff's going on. And I think we underestimate the app development and money required to do all those things. So,
right.
So, I mean, they may be in the works, but it's one of those things where the business may be moving faster than they are capable of handling in terms of technology. And WWE spent years building their network and not releasing it until it was ready. But they had a way to get it to everybody anyway.
And WWE, frankly, probably has someone that works on the app that works for WWE. And if New Japan was to do this kind of stuff, they probably have to hire an outside company to do it.
I mean, their website.
And you can just totally see. I can just totally see Gato kind of googling in Japanese, app makers, and stuff like going on in Japanese, and seeing who can do that kind of stuff for him or something like that. But so maybe sometimes I guess I might be a little harsh on the that kind of thing, but Jericho thing was such a out of the nowhere, well, at least from our standpoint, it was kind of this out of nowhere thing. It's not like you could say we're getting Jericho in a year. Let's get this shit up and running so people can watch it on every device possible.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, though, based off talking to Jericho, that this was planned from Dominion on. That there was a couple of tweets from someone that planted the seeds, and I think I guess somebody had said, "Oh, he's the best wrestler from Canada," and then Jericho replied, "No, he's not even the best wrestler from Winnipeg." So nice. This was I remember that happening. Yeah, this was planned a while ago, and everybody kind of just brushed it off as Jericho having fun. Nobody thought it would happen, but they did a great job of keeping it a secret. Vince kept it a secret too. Yeah,
because you got wrestlers, indie wrestlers and WWE wrestlers. You're kind of, every once in a while they go back and forth, so it's not exactly like, oh my God, they're gonna have a match.
Right.
It happens.
Yes.
From time to time, so not surprising at all. But, no, I thought, it obviously worked out great, and Jericho's just the guy's, using every last ounce he has left in him, and, of course I was expecting a good match, but I don't know if I was necessarily expecting him to go toe-to-toe with Kenny Omega and take everything he had, and he sure did. He sure fucking did.
I don't think
some.
Yeah, I don't. The other thing too is he's probably not going to wrestle for another month now. He's probably not going to wrestle Naito till whatever the next big event is. So,
Yeah.
Whereas in WWE, you can't do those matches all the time because you got a match the next day probably. Some house show. It's just a different
Yeah.
world over there. They're not running
Well,
shows as
so does-
often.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. Like, my uncle was saying too. He's like, man, they just do way too much stuff with the neck, and I mean, they do a lot of dangerous spots. And whether it's Kenny Omega's fucking snap suplex, or it looks like he's, cracking vertebrae left and right, but they travel a lot less. In terms of just traveling Japan for most of the thing. I mean, we're mostly trains and buses. They're not taking 6-7 hour flights across the United States.
Right.
They're probably, I don't know what their days off are, but we've talked about it before, where they do a lot of, when they're doing house shows, their live events or whatever there's a ton of just 8-man tags and stuff like that, and 6-man tags.
Yeah.
So they're able to kind of not work as hard all the time, and they're able to kind of get rest because they're not working one-on-one matches every night on a loop. They're mostly, that's why, maybe that's the reason why I have everyone in a faction out there, is so they can work a lot of tag matches when they're not, on TV and stuff like that. And I think it's actually kind of smart. And, that model probably wouldn't work with WWE as much, but that's a way to, keep some low mileage on these guys.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm sure he's going to work a couple more matches for them and then, head back. I mean, the other thing, too, is I wonder if he's going to show up at WrestleMania. There's nothing precluding him from doing it. I'm sure he didn't sign an exclusive contract with New Japan.
My understanding, there's a Fozzy tour going on.
But is it on the same day as WrestleMania?
Well, I don't know what let me look up a Fozzy schedule for you. I'll probably
because while you look that up, let's be honest. Fozzy isn't exactly doing a shit ton of press. So Jericho could, if it's not happening on the same day, Jericho can be wherever he needs to be, So there's nothing that precludes him from showing up for Mania and showing up for the Raws and lead-ups and taping some stuff. I mean, there's,
When is WrestleMania?
I don't know. Hold on, I'll look for you because you have one thing up.
Is it April 1st?
I don't know. Hold on. WrestleMania. Was it 34?
Yeah. Well.
But April 8th.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little difficult because he has a concert Sunday night in Hampton, New Hampshire.
Oh.
So
right.
he's totally on tour. April. They're basically on tour from March 10th all the way till August 12th. Well, no, March 4th to April 21st. So he'll be gone if he's gonna do anything. He's got March 10th, March 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 8th, 9th, 15th, 16th, 27th, 28th. I mean, obviously, if they have a concert for WrestleMania, they can't go without their lead singer. So.
Right. Okay. So maybe not.
He's not going to be. It looks like, unless they change the shit out of everything, he's not available. He's not going to be at WrestleMania.
All right. So it'll be a WrestleMania without Chris Jericho, I guess.
What would be seriously badass though? If he's a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, and I would not be surprised if that happens.
That's definitely a possibility because it would get a huge pop because it would not be expected at this stage of the game. Although I think New Japan has shows that day. So if he's part of storyline,
well, he doesn't necessarily have. Yeah, but anyway, So I don't think he's in tune for WrestleMania. But then it looks like he'd have to get that Naito match out pretty quickly, or maybe there's more of a window for him to do that Naito match.
Yeah.
In between there, if that's what they're actually going to do. In terms of that, but boy, this has become pretty much the Chris Jericho show itself. For the most part.
He was the story of this week. I mean, really, him and Omega, they stole
end of the year so far. They stole the wrestling world for, this week at least.
Yeah, they did.
And we haven't even talked an ounce about Raw and SmackDown, which I thought were, pretty episodes anyway.
Yeah, we are 3 weeks away from the Rumble. I think that everything's in a holding pattern until the Rumble's done.
Or at the very least, till that Raw 25.
Right. Which should be fun. Are
you going anywhere near that?
It's at Barclays, right? No, I'm not.
And the Hammerstein Ballroom.
Right. No, I'm not doing any of that. The one thing I found with Raw, I thought Raw again was paced fairly well. I watched in real time again. I thought Raw was paced well, but the ending was flat as fuck. I don't know who thought Kane, and nobody cares about fucking Kane. Can we stop with Kane? Like where was Braun? I know Braun was sick anyway, and I think they were just trying to keep him away from people. So I think keeping him away from Brock and Kane was...
You know what it is, though? And correct me if I'm wrong, but a Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar thing just isn't enough to close a show anymore. I don't think it works anymore. We've been there, done that way too many times.
It's not just that, but nothing happened. Kane came out. They did the pull-apart nonsense. I genuinely think part of it was they had to adjust because Braun is... Apparently, he had the stomach virus that whole week. So...
Oh, okay.
So I guess he was fighting something off, just like Enzo was.
Is that what Enzo had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Enzo even went to the hospital, actually.
Yeah, and he came back. He wanted to wrestle. Good for him, I guess. But, I think they were like, can you get the hell away from all of us? You know what's funny is, everybody's all big and tough, but as soon as somebody has a stomach virus, everybody runs the fuck away. The fear of God. You're like, nah, I'm good, thank you. Go get the fuck away from me. I've always wondered, like, let's say you have you're main eventing WrestleMania, but you get the stomach virus that day. What the fuck happens? Like, is there some magic drug you can take that makes you not feel like shit for an hour to have your match?
I mean,
and then go die.
First of all, I guess it's one of those, like, what are the odds type of things. I mean, you always think about, like, what if you get violently ill on your wedding day?
It's funny. I had like, my throat was bothering me the night before, but it was in my head. But yeah, I thought about it too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure these things happen, but I don't really hear of anyone saying I had to move my wedding because I had the the runs or whatever, or I had the bubble guts. I got legit. I mean, I'm sure there's people that, but it's very rare that you hear that.
I know. It's just a thought I've always had is like
Jordan had his best game, in Game 6 with the flu. Remember that? So
he's probably full of shit.
Yeah, and then of course, they had the Intercontinental Romans and Joe match, which I thought was good, and I love the way those guys work together. But let's get that fucking title off Roman already and get him up into the bigger part of the card already, and let's put that title where someone can actually use it.
Miz
to elevate themselves.
Next week, so I wonder if
they
stick the belt back on him.
Now that he's back. I'd be fine with that.
And the other big story was they finally pulled the trigger on the Club and Balor.
Yeah. Now, am I supposed to? Is that going to be like a permanent thing, or was that a one-time only thing? Or
you never.
I tried to. I wanted to get that Balor Club T-shirt today on that $5 Friday, but all they had was 5XL, and I hope I never get that big.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a permanent thing, but I would hope so. The reaction to it was pretty good, and they weren't.
I think they probably put it out there just to see what kind of reaction they'd get to it, and I think it got a pretty big pop.
Yeah,
and maybe somebody over there is listening to our podcast, but we've been saying it for weeks. Get these guys together. Give Gallows and Anderson something meaningful to do. You're paying these guys money, and those three of those guys were part of one of the biggest, obviously, probably the biggest non-WWE thing in the business, and you're just kind of letting them sit in the same locker room and not using them together. It just seems like dumb business, and it's not like you have to put these guys at the top of the card and make them all your champions right away, but you definitely can utilize them as a group and sell some merch at the very least.
No doubt. I agree with you there. And then on SmackDown, I guess the big stuff we had was the Usos retained what was a pretty decent match, and then I guess the SmackDown Championship match will be a handicap match. I guess whoever gets the pin on AJ would win the belt.
But they can't pin each other?
No, it's a handicap match. So, yeah, they can't pin each other. They have to pin AJ. And I'm sure Shane will prevent whatever happens from happening.
So, they're trying to... I understand the whole thing they're going with now, but that totally seems like it's making Daniel Bryan a heel.
See, it's weird. It's definitely an interesting dynamic because Daniel Bryan is like, yeah, he's going against AJ, but it's more like Shane's abusing his power, which he kind of is. I love Kevin Owens checking on Mike Chioda's leg. Like, Mike, how's your leg? Like, it seemed genuinely like he was trying to just keep an eye on his leg. It was funny. It'll be interesting to see what happens. None of the championship matches are exciting me for the Rumble, so the Rumble better be good.
Yeah, it's because I don't see any titles changing. It just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Oh, by the way, like I thought that the every once in a while WWE does the whole the ref's decision stands no matter what, and then every once in a while you have another ref come out and say, no, that was that's a very inconsistent thing, and it's been like that for years, so it's not like this is a new thing. But I thought that was a very well done little stunt there that you'd have Shelton and Gable think that they won the title, and I thought that was actually executed very well to where it wasn't sloppy and it made sense. And they actually utilized replay or whatever kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
supposedly, I guess the Rumble match for them is going to be probably a tornado match, so they don't have to worry about who the guy getting pinned is.
Legal man is.
Yeah.
But that was a good man.
Yeah.
Shelton Benjamin and Gable are fucking fantastic.
I like their tweener role. They're definitely more on the heel side at the moment, but they're definitely I think Gable.
They could go either way.
Yeah. I think Gable's money.
Gable's fantastic, and I mean it's like 6 months ago I think we were probably talking about how weak the tag team division is, but especially SmackDown, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's gone the other way on SmackDown and the other way on Raw. Like
Yeah, I mean, the tag team rich now. The tag team might be the best division they got right now.
Yes. I would say so.
And I think you also had, on Raw, you had Asuka beat Alexa Bliss in a in a non-title match.
Right, which usually leads to a championship match. That's how this works.
Right, so I think, it leads to a championship match, and I'm sure somehow we'll have that at the Royal Rumble or whatever, and you'll have Alexa retained by DQ or something to that effect.
Yes.
Or some outside interference will take place, and that's the thing. I think, outside of the actual Rumble matches, which I'm looking forward to at least at this point, because I have kind of, we both of us have a general idea of what might happen, but there's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing really set in stone. There's no super obvious outcome or winner this year. So that obviously excites me, but none of the undercard or the title matches are quite tickling my fancy right now.
Yeah. It's not, no.
And I guess kind of in other news too, I don't know if you heard, but the 205 Live has canceled at least one of their house shows they were running. I think one for January 19th.
Yeah, I'm utterly shocked that 205 Live isn't drawing money.
Well, here, people are thinking that, that show's going to be dead now. And I don't necessarily think the show's going to be dead, but I don't really think it's something that
house shows are probably dead.
Yeah, probably not a good idea to do that. I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to get another brand going so they can make some money off of it.
Didn't they put somebody on that tour to help it draw? I thought.
I think it was the Hardys and Bray.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay. I guess that wasn't enough.
No, I mean, that's not enough even to be a mid-card match on Raw or on a pay-per-view now.
I also don't know where they were running these events. I mean, they could, if they're running them out of very, very small venues, it probably wasn't.
Oh, of course they're running them at small venues. I don't think they're trying to fill, a 205. I mean, it's probably the same kind of buildings that they're running those NXT house shows in.
Yeah.
Those type of venues, probably like 2,000-3,000 seat venues.
Man, I don't know if you're getting 2,000 to 3,000 for 205 Live at this point. I don't know.
No, I don't think you ever will, because people don't really, there's. I don't really like NXT's got kind of that cult following, and they have their own viable stars and all that kind of thing. But I don't think 205 Live. It's it's like Shotgun Saturday Night went on a nationwide tour. You know what I mean? You're not getting. It's too much of a niche for like in terms of like cruiserweight performers. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just I don't. Yeah, I understand why they'd want to do it just to see what happens, but I don't necessarily think they're going to scrap the whole 205 Live thing. They're just not going to go on their own separate tour.
No, definitely not.
Because I think that the division and the show probably still has value, but I don't really. It's just not anything you can present separately.
No, I don't. I agree. I don't think there's enough juice there. Although Enzo has helped big time. I think as much shit as we give him for his wrestling ability, he's definitely given some interesting.
I'm telling you, sometimes Enzo's never going to be a world champ. He's never going to be a guy that's going to be on the WrestleMania posters, at least not the big guy. But you don't always have to have wrestling ability or to be a good performer or a good wrestler. I know that sounds silly, but to be a vile performer in the industry. I mean, he's case in point of that. He's got enough personality and a look that can carry him past that and makes him even better of a heel when he's going against all these guys that are, classically trained and, more, better athletes and everything like that. So he uses his lack of ability in the ring to enhance his character. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not like, Goldberg, who is, not the greatest wrestler in the world. You know what I mean? It doesn't work with a guy like Goldberg because he's supposed to be this mean, beat the shit out of you motherfucker, but he's a sloppy. You know what I mean? Like with Enzo,
I agree, but then the belt.
Him being a shitty wrestler plays to his character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then the bell does ring, and we do have to watch an Enzo match, and it's rough.
Right. Well, like I said, it's never going to be a main event of WrestleMania or anything like that.
No.
So he's going to be a sideshow guy, and good for him. And I think it works well, and it's perfect for 205 Live until they figure out exactly who they want to pass that off to next, whether it's Ricochet or, Hideo Itami or whatever.
I mean, it could be Neville again.
What's the latest you've heard on Neville?
I've heard rumors that he's around again, or he's close to returning, but they don't say to what, So,
right.
I mean, we'll see. We will. I mean, Cedric Alexander's getting the next shot, I guess, this week on Raw, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
We shall see.
Because of course Rich Swann was,
Yeah, Rich Swann hit a woman at the very worst time to possibly do that. I mean, you should never do it, but now
apparently he's reconciled with her and all as well. So,
of course, most toxic relationships you do reconcile a million times before then. So,
well, hopefully that was just a one-time thing and it was exaggerated and everything's fine. But if it's not, then hopefully he's getting the help he needs not to do that shit anymore. Doubt. Elias has been great and continues to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just loving his shit right now. Ever since that, that Cena thing a couple weeks ago when he punched him right in the fucking face, and he plays that crowd perfectly. That guy, we talked about him last week during the Coasties.
Yep.
If you didn't miss that, if you guys didn't listen to that episode where we gave out our yearly awards. I mean, the guy's been fucking money.
Yeah, Elias has definitely been a guy that has taken advantage of some camera time. It's been good stuff. I mean, all around. I mean, things have been interesting. I just think right now, like I said, we're in this slow moving time where it's like, well, we're going to do things, but at our pace because we need to get to the heart of WrestleMania season, and right now we're not there at the moment.
Yeah, and I think you've had a real doldrum in terms of not. You had the Dean injury, and then you have all this time without a pay-per-view. So it's been kind of, obviously I think they can probably, I'm not trying to defend, some not so great episodes of Raw lately, but I guess
they have not been that bad. They really haven't. I thought they've been paced okay. I think everybody's been doing something. I don't think it's been that bad. I don't.
Right. Yeah, and we'll see where all this goes. I think obviously the most interesting thing we have going in WWE is just kind of wondering what's up with Daniel Bryan, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's the next thing. Whether we see a Daniel Bryan Shane McMahon match, and then possibly more. We'll see. I mean, there's definitely some interesting stuff from Mania lining up, I think, and it'll have some good juice.
Yeah, and was there anything coming up for this Raw that's, I know I think that Raw 25th anniversary show coming up, I think in 2 weeks, right? I think it's the 25th. Ironic, I think it's January 25th. I think they really got to knock that out of the park.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of nostalgia. I wonder, I doubt it, but maybe somebody shows up. Maybe Bruce shows up. You know, do you think they bring him in? I mean, you know, he gets a lot of listens, and one of the things
you can have a brother love segment.
Yeah, I mean, analytically, I mean, they have to know a difference in terms of when, like, Vengeance, like I just watched Vengeance for no reason whatsoever, other than I heard about it on Pritchard's podcast. So, you know, people are going to the network, and especially what happened when. You're not going to bring Shivani in, but, like, there's definitely got to be an uptick in terms of viewership of absolutely fucking random shows. Like,
yeah, and for them to acknowledge that would make sense. Yeah, they're like, why is everyone watching Fall Brawl 95 this week? And I definitely think they got to notice that.
Definitely.
Internally, for sure. And that's got to be pointed out to somebody around there, but I don't know. I think The Undertaker is actually confirmed for it. Is that one of the first people that they said was going to be there?
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's not to set up something. I really do. I desperately hope.
You know what? I'm kind of getting the feeling we're going to have Taker Cena at WrestleMania this year.
I could not possibly care less. I think that Taker
should
stay retired.
I'd rather have, for Taker's sake, and I mean, he just hasn't really looked good in the ring. I don't know, maybe the Brock match, he looked pretty decent in terms of, like, his movement and stuff. But, you know, he's been a shell of himself, you know, ever since really the Bray Wyatt Mania match. He just hasn't been the same. And that was probably, I'm just, I just, you know, you just remember the guy. He was never the most fleet of foot guy anyway. And I don't know, man. The guy, doesn't he just have a hip replaced? Are you supposed to, like, be doing anything that crazy if you have your hip replaced or whatever?
Probably not, but I mean, he doesn't take the bulk of the bumps. Cena could always do it.
But, I'd rather see Cena against The Undertaker than Cena in a title match after winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. I don't know. I just have no interest.
If it siphons Cena off in a corner, let him have his little Undertaker match so he's not involved in that upper card, I'm cool with it. I guess I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, obviously, you know, I'm not the hugest Cena fan in the world, but I will agree that he needs something relevant at WrestleMania. And
I mean,
last year was the perfect thing for him, which seemed like a shitty idea at first, ended up being actually a pretty cool the way they did that, and that was all basically because of the Miz and Maurice. Made that something that people cared about. That was the perfect thing for Cena to do at that stage in his career, and he got to do that proposal to Nikki and all that. So that was the perfect those are the type of moments he should be having in his career right now, which is kind of the Cal Ripken running a lap kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Until he figures out, and I guess at some point you got to have him. Please don't have him break. Let's not have him break Flair's record, or whatever the record is.
Yeah.
You know, especially after that scare with Flair. Let's let Flair stand at the top. Let's not let John Cena get anywhere near that 17th run. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, I agree. I am losing my voice, so I think we should cut it here.
We got to be at that hour mark anyway, or at least
I think we're well over the hour mark.
If not over.
Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. We are at.
If you motherfuckers can listen, if you can listen to fucking 5 hours on the Steiner Brothers or whatever else, you can listen to an hour. Actually, talk about the current events, and in a very New Japan heavy episode.
Yes.
And I guess we'll kind of close it off here. I don't know what our downloads or what they've been like, but if you'd like to start following us on Instagram and Twitter, we post a few times a week. We try to. I've recently, broken out my PS3 and gotten Fire Pro Returns, and I downloaded all the characters and kind of having a fun time with that. You'll see kind of the little antics there on Instagram, especially.
All right.
So it's at Coast Pod. And if you're listening, just, I don't know, tell us you listen, rate, review, subscribe. I don't know. We try to get people we know to do this shit, and they don't do it. So I don't know how we expect people that we don't know to do it for us.
I'm sure somebody.
I don't know. At some point, yeah. I mean, I don't know how long people do these shows until they actually start getting that kind of shit, but I know there's a million of them. It's more therapeutic for me anyway, probably the same for you. I don't really have too many people in my life I can just fucking blurt out wrestling about on a consistent basis. So I appreciate you, Will, for that. Gives me that outlet. I got friends I can text with every once in a while. That my friend that works at Best Buy is a wrestling guy that I've known since high school. He'll text me back every once in a while, and he's just so busy. And my uncle, I can only go so deep with him, to where he doesn't, he wants to talk about something else or whatever. So I can't get as deep. He still lives in the kind of the kayfabe-ness of it all. When you start talking about booking with him, he just kind of doesn't really get too far into it. So, anyways, let's wrap this shit up.
All right.
I know we all got shit. All right, guys. Everyone have a good week. I know you're probably cold as fuck, and I'm, dealing with this 55-degree evenings in Southern California. Well, man, hey, when you sent that "Enjoy your fake New Year," that's when I had to. That's when you deserve every minute of that shit out of that. Okay. I sent you the picture of the temperature. Anyway, all
right.
Everyone, take care. If you're on the East Coast, stay warm and be safe out there. And we'll see you next week.
Night.